You may hear about the Missouri Senate often, but do you ever wonder what's really going on behind the scenes? All of us here have people at home that we are representing. All of us here have matters that we think are serious for the state of Missouri. So we are trying to do things in an orderly fashion, and we cannot continue to have this chaos. I'm Senate Majority Leader Cindy O'Laughlin, and I'm here to give you that honest view of Missouri politics. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast, Hard Truth with Cindy O'Laughlin. Welcome to Hard Truth with Cindy O'Laughlin. Each week, I come to you through this video to explain to you what is happening on the Missouri Senate floor. You can be maybe listening to it via online, or maybe you've just heard people talk about how the Senate functions or not. And it's generally a lot different than what you think it might be. So today I wanted to talk about this week in the Missouri Senate. We actually had a pretty decent week. We did not have a lot of disagreements on policy. We did not have filibusters. Of course, there were things brought up that some people didn't agree with, and we had amendments and that kind of thing that we had to deal with. But in general, our business kind of flowed along pretty smoothly. And I just wanted to cover for you how that actually works. The senators file legislation starting in December and can file all the way up until today. Today was the last day to file any new legislation. And we probably have 1,500 to 2,000 bills filed. At the end of the year, we will have passed maybe 30 bills. And some people measure the success or the failure of the Senate according to how many bills we pass, but it really isn't about that. It's about substantive policy and problems that we have in the state that we are trying to resolve or address through legislation. So once we file bills, they are assigned to committee. All of the bills have been assigned except for the ones that were turned in today, so there will be maybe 20 or 30 more. The committee chairman, there's approximately 6 committees. The committee chairman decide which bills they will hear and in what order. Each committee has both Republicans and Democrats on the committee. The bill sponsor comes before the committee, explains what's in the bill, and then the committee chairman will ask people from the public, lobbyists, different people who are representing different interests to come forward and give either positive or negative review. And you can also give an informational only review, but in general, those are negative. People just don't want to say that. So they hear the bills, then the chairman, setting the date themselves, they're the one that determines when this happens, will bring the bill back up to be exec. If it passes the committee, it is then taken in by the President Pro Tem, who places it on the calendar. And then I, being the floor leader, bring the bill up for debate on the floor. Once the bill is introduced on the floor, then other senators can inquire of the sponsoring senator, asking for additional details, talking about things maybe that they like in the bill, or also talking about things that they don't like that are in the bill. If they feel compelled to do so, they will file amendments. Each one of those has to be approved by the body before they can be attached to the bill. Once debate has been finalized, the senator closes on the bill, and we have either a voice vote or a roll call vote if requested, and the bill is then considered perfected. The bill then also has to go through a fiscal review, and the final step for the Senate is to give it a third read vote. Generally, if a bill is perfected, it will successfully be third read and will receive a positive vote. It is then turned over to the House, where they then go through basically the very same procedure that we go through. So bills really do have a lot of input provided. People have a lot of opportunity to weigh in. And the final thing I wanted to talk about was the many outside interests that everybody that is in elected office has to listen to and respond to. So there are so many different associations, so many different groups who want to weigh in on legislation. And to just name a few, there's the Missouri Hospital Association, the Missouri Association of Counties, the Missouri State Teachers Association, the NEA, the Farm Bureau, and the list just goes on and on. And the thing that can make it difficult is each of these groups looks at any one piece of legislation solely through the lens of how will this affect the person or people or interest that I am representing. Whereas each of us on the Senate floor has to consider that nothing happens in a vacuum, and every piece of legislation has influence on a very wide range of interests. So while maybe the Hospital Association, for example, may not like something because they feel it affects their operations negatively, but on the other side of that, you may have another group who feels that it will affect positively patient care or patient interaction or something of that nature. So while we are sitting on the floor listening to debates, we are often called to the side chamber to hear a dissenting view or a supporting view, and it can really become quite burdensome. But you know that when you run for office, and you just have to consider everything presented, and then you make the best decision possible. I personally believe that you have to keep the average working class Missouri citizen in mind, because it would be my belief that they are the ones who are mostly bearing the burden of the legislation that we pass. They're bearing it through their taxation. All of the things that go on in our world seem to be borne by the middle class working citizen, and sometimes I feel that they are the least represented. So that's kind of a view into how the Missouri Senate works. It's not easy. And when you have someone say, I don't know why they haven't done this, or I don't know why they haven't done that, this kind of gives you an idea of really how difficult each decision can be. Working in the Missouri Senate is never easy, but it is an honor to be a senator in Missouri, and I appreciate your watching Hard Truth with Cindy O'Laughlin.